Rants and Raves of the week. Starting with you, Dan.
I have a rave for, unfortunately, the late Sadar Ahmed, who was a reporter for our agency, France Press. He, his wife, and two of their three kids were killed in a terrorist attack on a hotel in Afghanistan this week. I should say that there were non-journalists who were killed as well. But this was, by all accounts, a wonderful journalist, wonderful family man. His last story was on a lion who had been rescued and put in a zoo in Afghanistan. It's just absolutely heartbreaking.
Was he a target, do you know, Dan?
No, apparently not. The hotel was a target. And it just underscores the incredible danger that people face every day doing important journalism in violent parts of the world.
All right, Josh, what do you got?
I have a qualified rave. This week, 538, which we all talked a lot about during the 2008 and 2012 elections. Nate Silver's outfit debuted again in its new form. It left the New York Times and moved to ESPN, which has enough money to not have to worry about anything else. It debuted to some pretty negative reviews in a lot of cases. Both people who thought that the content may not have been as strong as you might expect when you've had some time to build up a good first day content, and also from people who thought that the argument behind the site, that data journalism and a stronger analytical approach to journalism was an important factor to improve the quality of journalistic work. I do still want to give it a qualified rave because I do appreciate that they are trying a new model. They are throwing a lot of resources at an idea, and that's something that in the online media space, rather than just having a lot of ever-shrinking websites that are just doing the same things we used to do, only with less money, I like that they're making a bet, and we're going to see how it works out.
All right. Who's up? Callie.
Well, that's why I'm angry and sad about 538, and not just 538, but Vox, First Look Media. These are all these very incredibly hyped new media startups. This is a rant you'll be able to determine, because none of them are on the case about diverse staffs. And that's a very sad thing for a couple of reasons. First of all, hello, 2014. Second of all, these are all young people. See, in the old days, you had to go get the gray hairs in a room and say, see, this is what we're talking about. It's better for business. It's better. This is America, blah, blah, blah. These are people who grew up, who work next to, who know better, and they're starting out this way. Now, some of them have said, because many articles were written, but the big one was from Emily Bell, who was a director of the Tao Center for Digital Journalism, not a black person, not a person of color of any sort, and she just noted it and said, what's going on here? It looks like conventional journalism, and I think that had some weight. Some of them said, hey, we're just getting started. This is not, I know it looks bad, but we're moving on it. Other people, not so. They're like, well, this is who we know. Well, know some new people. And it is a question of networks. It's something we've discussed here with Marty Walsh trying to hire here. So I hope to see this better, because I'm just tired of talking about it and being angry and sad about it.
All right, we want them to do it for the same reason.
There's indications that there's a lot more women in the startup hyper-local space, so that's something to keep an eye on.
Which is
boy. John, what do you
we know.
Well, I have a rant for news outlets around the country, I guess around the world, that gave, in my view, undue attention to the death of the vile little founder of a vile little church in Topeka, Kansas. And you notice I'm not mentioning either name. That made its name from staging demonstrations at the funerals of soldiers and carrying brightly colored homophobic placards. This tiny group of nutjobs gained undue attention over the years because we in the media covered them, even though their numbers, their message, and nothing about them warranted the amount of coverage they got. But we gave it to them because we were lazy or weren't thinking or whatever. And it just happened again with the death of this horrible human being. So,
Do you think it got over? I didn't.
Yes.
Big takeouts, big obits, lots of discussion.
Because I didn't read them.
Well, wise move on your part, really. Once again, we fell into the same trap.
The one exception I would make to that is Time Magazine had a really nice piece that actually outlined the ways that generations of journalists were taken by this church and this individual. It noted journalists would get interested, realize that it was essentially a con job, and go away, but there would always be a new set of journalists to come in and cover the story again.
All right. Okay, finally, I have a rant for both MSNBC and Fox for whining on the air about the way CNN is covering Malaysia Airline Flight 370. Either shut up or do it yourselves. I mean, CNN, and they've done a lot, and I think a lot of it has been very, very good, especially Anderson Cooper's show. And they're doing a lot better. They're getting higher rates. But for them to complain about somebody else over, how about what they've done on Fox with Obamacare or Chris Christie? This is, you know, the Fox, whatever you call it.
But black holes.
Yes.
A black hole did not, the plane did not disappear in a black hole.
One stupid thing.